Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and consider becoming a Patreon. And speaking of Patreons, thank you very much for the people that support this channel and that are on board with my whiskey journey. Much appreciated. Easy for me to say. Much appreciated, my Patreons. Before we get into the Glen Elgin experience, I don't talk much about the shirts I wear, but if you notice, every show I wear a different shirt. And this is a vintage, authentic Blue Oyster Cult concert shirt from 1977. I saw them at the Providence Civic Center in Rhode Island, 1977, and I bought the shirt there, and it still fits me. Stay tuned to after the review if you want to hear who opened up for Blue Oyster Cult in 1977 and my quick Blue Oyster Cult experience and a quick little info about their current tour, which I think you will find interesting if you're into Blue Oyster Cult. Okay, let's get on with the review. We are going to be talking about and reviewing Glen Elgin 12-year-old official bottling. Okay, it's a Diageo product. It is likely chilled filtered and it is likely colored. Glen Elgin official bottling, 12-year-old, comes in at 43%. This is a 700 milliliter bottle, which I bought through a European website a while back as an add-on to an order. But I did want to buy it, and I'm glad I did. I bought this past spring, and I paid 37 euros for the Glen Elgin 12, which is probably around 45 US dollars. Unfortunately, it is very challenging to find this in the United States. For some reason, I don't know. Again, it is a Diageo product, and it is a Speyside from Scotland, unpeated. And I'm going to be comparing and reviewing it to an independent bottling from Whisky Base called Archives. And this is a cask strength Glen Elgin 12-year-old. Okay. And this is a 750 milliliter bottle. Comes in at cask strength of 59.9% ABV. And the specs on this: distilled December 13th, 2007, bottled in January of 2020. So this is a 12-year-old age-stated independent bottling, cask strength, cask number 3800324, a total of 271 bottles, single cask from a single hogshead. Does not give any more information about the hogshead. If I had to guess, I would say it's a refill. Just my guess. And the Whisky Base ID number is 136803. And again, unchill filtered, no color added, and this is a Whisky Base independent bottling. They call themselves Archives, and they do many distillery bottlings. Okay, we're going to start off with the official bottling, Glen Elgin 12-year-old from Diageo. I'll tell you, the nose on this, it blows me away. We don't drink the nose, but you hear an occasional reviewer speak of that they could spend hours with this nose, and and this is so true with this nose will rate higher than the overall experience. But the nose on this, if I was just to score it just on the nose, a 90 plus whiskey here, all day long. This is in Glen Elgin. They also they're one of the few distilleries that still use and continue to use worm tubs. Okay, and it shows here. Okay, on the nose, and I'm just going to pick out the prominent notes, and there's many of them here. You get a little bit of black licorice, a little bit of that anisey. It's a very inviting nose. Melon, honeydew melon. It's very fruity. A slight vegetal note. You get some candy cigarettes in there, that chalky candy cigarettes. A little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of maple. Believe it or not, it's all in there. What a beautiful, beautiful nose on this. Okay. The palate at 43% is what you'd expect. It's a little light on the palate, but that juicy fruitiness is paramount, and that's what really shines. It's very delightful, but it's a delicate palate, and the finish is very pleasant, a bit watery, what you'd expect, with a medium finish, but still with a mild, peppery oak spice bite to it. Believe it or not, it's there. I would describe this as a beautifully elegant, fruity offering. And would I buy this again? Definitely. Matter of fact, as an add-on to an order, I only bought one bottle, and I can't buy it in the United States. And if you find it in the United States, I think Cask Cartel is ridiculous, selling it for like $250, some crazy thing, you know. All right. Okay. Now to the big guy here. The Archives Whisky Base cask strength. We know that this Glen Elgin Archives, it's 12 years old, and that's it. Whereas this Glen Elgin official bottling, in my opinion, it tastes and the experience is more than 12 years. And for an official bottling to leave it 12 years, it has to be a minimum of 12 years. In my opinion, there is older spirit blended in this, vatted in it, married in it. The official bottling 12-year-old experience it's mature. You are getting a mature. There's no youth in here. There's no spirity. Whereas this 12-year-old cask strength Archives on the nose, I mean, it's close to 60% ABV. It's a bit hot in the nose. You have that nasal, that nose hair burn, that prickliness. It's sharp, and the alcohol comes through strong on the nose. But on the nose, once you get past that, sourdough. There's a sour note to it, and I would even say it's a sourdough note to it. You get the melon, a bit of apple, that fruitiness, that juicy fruit nose on the palate. This is where this really shines. The palate is an explosion of juicy fruit gum flavors. It is viscous, creamy, powerful, sweet, and a little bitterness in there. The finish is long, strong, with a more pronounced peppery oak spice bite to it than its predecessor. I'm very cautious when I use the word hot, but the finish is a bit hot. The nose is a bit hot. It's vibrant. It's a young 12 years, if you ask me, which leads me to believe that maybe it's a refill, second fill bourbon. I don't think it's third fill, but that's just, my opinion. And then for those folks, you're saying, why the heck does he have this over here? Well, if you've watched my show, I've previously reviewed this independent bottling from Signatory, which is a Norfolk Whiskey Group exclusive Glen Elgin 2007 cask strength. And it's 14 years old. And I previously reviewed this. So check out my channel if you want to see the full review and experience on this. This particular bottling is very unique in that on the nose is a prominent cider vinegar note, which does transition to the palate. But it's got so much more going on than that on the palate. And please see the review on this and read all of the comments on it, because you will get an education on possibly why that vinegar note is there and why it's really, it actually can add to the experience and the complexity of that. Enough said about that. I've already reviewed it. Please check out that review. Back to the battle of the official Glen Elgin 12-year-old against Whisky Base Archives Independent cask strength. Before I give it a score, I've played around a lot with this. Now, the official bottling does not need any water at all, obviously. It's at 43% already. They've done enough I don't want to say damage at all. It's a beautiful whiskey, a delightful whiskey, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the official bottling. The cask strength takes water very well, and I recommend that you do put water in it. And I also played around with, and I think I found the perfect answer here, the perfect solution, by having a bottle of official bottling here, the 12-year-old, which is a little bit on the low ABV side, just a drop or two of this cask strength into this really gives it some balls, and it really adds to the experience. Yeah, there you go. Score-wise, believe it or not, I'm going to score these about the same. I would definitely buy this Glen Elgin 12 official bottling, even though there's probably some coloring in here. I mean, just look at the color here. They're both 12 years, and you can see the color difference, right? I'm going to score them both between an 87 and an 88. The nose on the official bottling, though, is a 90 plus. It's a very impressive nose, and it's a solid 87, 88. And over here, it's a great experience as well. Just drinking at cask strength. Again, it's a little bit hot in the nose. You get that little bit of hot in the finish, but the palate, the mid palate, those juicy fruit, gum, fruity flavors are the main focus of this. And I would rate this 87 to 88 as well. Yeah, that's what I say about this. So if you liked today's show, which I hope you did, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We need more subscribers. And thank you to all the Patreons out there. Now, before I give the hats off to you all, Blue Oyster Cult, 1977, Providence Civic Center, Rhode Island, USA. I was a young lad. The opening band I had never heard of at the time, Rush. Rush opened up. It was their Farewell to Kings album tour, which came out right after 2112. Oh my God. This was Rush, an opening act, and they had bombs and smoke and explosions, and Blue Oyster Cult had all that and then some as well. Rush blew my mind, and literally the next day I went out and bought the album Farewell the Kings, and it remains probably my favorite Rush album. 2112 is a close second, but Blue Oyster Cult back then, they still continue the tour with 2 to 3 original members at any one time. Al Bouchard is doing some of the shows this year, very few I think, but Eric Bloom and Buck Dahmer are the key members. And 1977, they had the full lasers, the laser show, and tons of bombs, and they did Godzilla, and the drummer wears the Godzilla head, and it was Spinal Tap overload. Now, speaking of Blue Oyster Cult and their current tour, they're doing another extensive tour like they always do. They are playing 3 nights in New York, and each of the 3 nights they are playing in its entirety. The first night, they're playing the original album in its entirety, plus all their best of, greatest hits. The second night, they're playing in its entirety Secret Treaties, okay, which the second album. The third night, at the same venue in New York, they're playing Tyranny and Mutation, their third album, in its entirety at the same club. I think the second and third show, I believe, are already sold out. The first show, I think there's a couple tickets left. But Blue Oyster Cult are a great band, and so thank you for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed the little extra add-on we have here. All right, folks, now it's time to say hats off to you all, and take care, and keep on rocking in the free world.